All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one of Jon and Married Jim. We are with you for the next 3 hours. It is officially official. Jim is married. Before we get to that, of course, we'll remember the life and legacy of Bill Walton. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5 p.m. If you want to share your stories related to Bill Walton, his legacy on San Diego and beyond, you can text us 70470. Start your message with the word team or call us 877-767-4760. We'll get into Padres Marlins as well. But it is officially official. You are a married man. I've got my officiant book to prove it if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know who was more nervous this weekend, seriously, if it was me or you or Aaron, but we all got through it, dude. We're all married. I mean, I'm married to Kristen.
Yeah.
You're married to Aaron. So congratulations, man. Amazing wedding.
Thank you.
Wonderful weekend. It was cool. Brent was there. He was a part of it. Congratulations
Brent
to you and
dressed
Aaron.
up for the wedding.
Yes.
For me.
For Brent, he dressed up. So
I tucked in my shirt and everything.
I know.
I have
wore some slacks. It was great.
I have a wedding gift for Brent.
Oh, you do?
Because
Jim
I gave
forgot.
this to his groomsmen Pokemon cards.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not opening these. So I figure we could give that to Brent.
Perfect, Brent. Pokemon cards for you.
Cards.
Hopefully you pull a Charizard.
Exactly.
And a Charizard.
Yes.
Yeah, no. First off, like, dude, you crushed it.
No, you crushed it.
No.
Yes.
Like, you absolutely crushed it. I know you were nervous.
Super nervous.
And during, I guess, before the wedding, during when we were all getting ready in the groomsmen suite,
Yeah.
we're all, I'm obviously nervous. I'm kind of like pacing a little bit. All my buddies are putting on the putting green, drinking high noons. You're over in the corner,
Pacing,
reading your officiant book, and like having a pen in your hand and like constantly like revising it, putting some notes in.
Have a couple of notes,
and then you came up to me like, "Hey, can I say this?" And I'm like, "Dude, yes, say whatever, say it. It's fine. I trust you." And you crushed it. And we only practiced because we went to the walkthrough on Friday morning,
right?
And I mean, we only practiced it twice.
Yeah,
and everybody did exactly what we practiced. Like there was no mess ups. There was no like, oop, I'm not supposed to stand here. Like everything was perfect.
I told Kristen, I just need to get it right for Aaron.
Exactly.
She's like, you're going to be fine. Who cares? Right. You work with Jim every single day. I'm like, I'm not worried at all about Jim.
Who cares about Jim?
It's Aaron's wedding day.
Right. This is not about Jim. Aaron planned this whole entire thing. So
I want it to go perfect for her. I want to share a line or two from the speech, from like the ceremony.
Yes, it was it got a lot of laughs. I posted a picture on Jon Jim.
It was Jon's best live read ever.
It was his best live read ever.
Well, do we want to save that for later in the show?
No. We are. We are going to read off some things that, wrong answers only of what Jon said at the altar.
That got Aaron laughing.
And everybody else laughing, by the way. It wasn't just Aaron. It was this weekend, and because you were at the rehearsal dinner. This weekend was the roast of Jim Russell. It was 100% about roasting me. Some of my buddies gave some speeches at the rehearsal dinner that were not PG. They were very much R-rated, and they very much could not have been said at the wedding, or else a lot of family members would have said, Aaron, you need to rethink this whole thing. But yeah, so what did you...
Well, here's one thing I'm going to share right now. This is the thing I asked Jim, like within 30 minutes of the actual ceremony. I said, can I throw this in during the I do portion? And it was, Aaron, do you take Jim to be your wedded husband to live together in marriage? Do you promise to love him and the wrap-up show? And I looked at her when I said that, and she laughed. But Jim said, I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for you. Then I'll share the joke that actually had people, everyone laughing. We could share later.
Yeah.
But I had to get in a Niners joke. So I said,
you had multiple Niners
10 of them. I said, from the moment you met, it was clear to all who know you that you were meant to be together. You've weathered life's joys and challenges, such as the Eagles beating the Niners in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. But unlike the Niners for the last 30 years, you're both getting rings tonight. That went over fairly well.
That went over very well because it was a very pro-Eagles crowd.
Yes, it was.
It was a couple Niners fans here and there, but majority were Eagles fans. And it was great. It was perfect. The weather was perfect. That was something that I was a little worried about because
I was really worried about it.
Overcast for
it was freezing
a couple days, and you look at the weather forecast and you're like, okay, this is gonna be overcast. Even though cloudy skies are good for pictures.
But I was scared it was gonna be cold.
The walkthrough, it was like raining on us. Like people couldn't even sit down in the chairs because those chairs were soaking wet. But the skies opened up Saturday morning, and Erin sent me a picture at like 5:59 a.m. when she was up, and it was beautiful. It was perfect.
Again, all I cared about was it going perfectly for Erin.
Yeah.
And so Erin, her takeaway from this night and this weekend was everything went swimmingly, and it was everything she envisioned it to be, because that's what matters.
Yeah.
I mean, me and you, we're the guys. And you want it to go well for Erin. Mm-hmm. You want it to go well for her family, her friends, yours as well. But.
Yeah. It was to her perfect. There wasn't one thing that we've talked about since the wedding that we're like, oh man, we wish that happened. We wish we did that, or oh, we missed this, or like, oh, we forgot to do this, or like, oh, we forgot to do that. Like, I think the one thing is maybe we felt like we didn't take enough pictures with everybody, but at the same time, that's why you have a photographer, and that's what we have.
Photographers are taking photos the whole time.
Yeah, and that's why we have the videographer, because they capture the moment, and we're supposed to be in the moment. So that's what we try to do. Like it's hard for maybe people to believe, but I didn't look at my phone pretty much the entire day.
I didn't see you look at your phone at any point,
because I left it in the groomsmen suite the entire day. Leading up to the wedding, I barely looked at my phone, and I kept it back away from me for the entire night, and it was the best decision. I know that the ceremony was an unplugged ceremony, which I didn't even know was going to happen. The DJ kind of pulled that one out on the fly, which I'm glad he did, because I didn't want people taking videos.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I said that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
You were about to walk down the aisle with me.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I thought it was perfect. Erin thought it was perfect. I'm curious to know what your guys is Brent, for you, what did you think? What was your whole thoughts on the whole thing? Because I know what I thought, and I'm curious to hear what other people thought about the one. Darren, that was a great compliment. Top 5 weddings I've ever been to. I'm like, dude,
I would agree with that.
Okay.
The raviolis were awesome.
The food is what I want to know. So what was your favorite food at the venue? The ravioli?
Well, I couldn't eat the potatoes because they had scallions in them.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat the green beans because they had onions in them. Yeah. So the chicken was good, and the ravioli was awesome.
Okay.
And the little dessert bar was good.
So you had dessert?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a piece of cake. I did laugh at how thin some of the cake slices were.
Well, they tried to make it so
I know. So everyone got a piece. Yeah,
for 100 plus people.
For 100 plus people. But because we didn't even eat, all we did was we cut the cake, and we had a little bite, and then we left. And I asked our wedding planner to save us some desserts, which I had on Sunday night, but I didn't eat any desserts. And that was one of my favorite parts of the wedding that I was looking forward to, because we got so many different types of desserts for the dessert bar. I was looking forward to eating those, and I never did.
I like the little chocolate things with the
truffle cake, the
hot fudge in the center or whatever. Those are awesome.
When it's your
truffle
wedding,
brownies.
Honestly, I think I looked at the table that you guys were sitting at when you were dancing for whatever reason, or I walked by it, and I looked at the plates, and there was food on the plates. Dude, it didn't appear as if you had really eaten.
Well, because they gave us so much. They gave us something of everything, but they gave us a huge portion.
Yeah.
Erin I was trying to get her to eat, and for me, I was trying to eat. I did take a bite, and I did eat one of everything, even the hors d'oeuvres, which I was happy about. But so yeah,
it's a good wedding when at the end of the night you're eating Taco Bell with your wife.
The Taco Bell,
which is what you were able to do.
We got some Crunch Wrap Supremes, and we got some crunchy tacos. We're eating those at the top of the bar at the after party, and that was one of the highlights. I showed you one of the pictures. I don't know if I posted it.
I think you may.
I may have posted it, but it was
Aaron did.
It was probably one of the happiest looks on our faces, just eating Taco Bell at 2 a.m.
and being a married couple.
And did you like your presents?
Yes, right. So there were groomsmen gifts, which was a Fossil watch, a beautiful watch that I should have worn today, but I'm not.
That's okay.
Blender sunglasses,
yes,
which we took photos in.
Shout out Blenders.
The night, those are terrific. Pokemon cards, which I'm giving to Brent at the next break. So no, seriously, Jim, I'm so happy for you and Erin. It was an amazing wedding. Kristen thought it was spectacular. It was a beautiful day. Everything was done perfectly. Erin should be super proud, because I know she put all the work into it. You did nothing.
Yeah, I did nothing.
So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What made Erin laugh at the altar? Wrong answers only. 70470. Start your message with the word team. Now, like anything, you never expect the news like Bill Walton passing. There's no real segue, by the way, from Jim's wedding to Bill Walton passing, but we'll do it anyway. So we find out yesterday, and this is the type of thing, and this often happens, obviously, with the passing of someone, whether it's in the sports world or not, you really feel the impact of someone sometimes when they're gone, and you almost wish you felt it a little bit more when they were around. Now, we did with Bill Walton. He was so intrinsic. He was so unique. He was so true to himself. He was so San Diegan as well. And Mark Ziegler is going to join us. He wrote, I believe it's the obituary. It's on the front page of the newspaper, not just the sports section, but the front page of the Union Tribune here today. When you remember Bill Walton, I don't even know where you go. Like, do most people remember Bill Walton as a broadcaster? This is probably depending on your age. Or do most people remember Bill Walton as this champion with UCLA, this unbelievable NBA player and center and two-time champion in professional basketball? Like, he had such remarkable careers. That alone makes him somewhat remarkable, but he was such a unique individual that I feel like if you asked 1,000 people for their opinions on Bill Walton, they'd all have their own like unique anecdotes to share about his impact on them.
Well, the one thing about Bill Walton is today, and obviously yesterday as well, you can't find anybody to say a bad word about Bill. Like you might, a couple, whatever, but the majority and close to 100% will always be saying something nice about Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a unique story. There's always a unique story that, you had with Bill. I mean, everybody that has worked in media in this town has a story with Bill Walton.
We did a 23. I know you've done multiple interviews with him in the room. There was a 23-minute interview we did with him in the studio one time where
we couldn't even air
it. Was asked, right?
Well, we couldn't even air it because we talked to him for about 25 minutes.
And someone was fired, his son.
But then Luke got fired by the Lakers like 2 hours later before we could actually air it. So we pretty much just talked to him for fun.
But yeah, have you interviewed him?
I have not personally interviewed him.
You've been in the studio.
I've coordinated with Bill. I've talked to Bill. I've obviously when I was Darren's producer, we had Bill on multiple times, and every time we had Bill on, we were always like, okay, how many questions are we going to ask? More than one question for this interview? And a lot of times it was. I remember one time Bill was on, and we asked him Darren asked him one question, and we timed it, and I think it was around 11 uninterrupted minutes that Bill just spoke.
Mike Greenberg today shared a story like that where they had an 11-minute segment and they welcomed him on, and he spoke for 11 uninterrupted minutes, and that was the entirety of the segment. But it goes well beyond that. I mean, here's one thing that to me, when you talk about like overcoming hurdles in life, you got this like great champion, this unbelievable player at Helix, this incredible athlete at UCLA, and then in professional basketball as well. He had a stuttering issue until he was close to 30 years of age. And for him to have the career he had in media, like imagine that. We all have we all have personal things we have to overcome in life, right? And that can be very challenging to do. Imagine having something like a stutter that you would think automatically would keep you out of a professional career in broadcasting. And then he became like a star, a one of one in broadcasting. We'll have to have Jason Benetti on at some point this week, who's my good buddy, who spent the late stages of Bill's life broadcasting a lot of games with him. He probably worked with him for 6 or 7 years over the last 6 or 7 years at ESPN and NBA TV. He stayed at his home in San Diego as well, but he'll certainly be missed. I mean, I don't even know where you go with Bill Walton because there's just so many different places you can go with him. And I was caught off guard. Like most deaths, you are caught off guard. I felt as if I had seen him in recent weeks doing some type of game on a Pac-12 network or Pac-12 basketball, but apparently he was unwell, had cancer, hadn't done a game since February, and passed about 3 months later. But there's just such a long legacy with Bill Walton. I feel like you go wherever you want with it.
And 71 is, I think, considered, and now it's
too young.
It is too young.
Yeah.
The one thing is, though, I think, for Bill, for such a legend like that, to San Diego and to the entire world, sports fans and everything, basketball fans, right? You never, for someone as big of a personality as he is, for as big of a legend as he is, for the amount of things that he accomplished in his career, you never want to see those types of people in their worst. You always want to remember them for their best.
Sure.
And 71 still not young, but I think remembering Bill Walton, you don't remember him passing away. You're not going to remember like him going through the cancer. You're just going to remember him straight up to the point where he was the best at what he did, and he was one of one, and he was so unique, and he was so like filled with joy and life and just the type of person that was always positive, the person that, you could feel uplifted just listening to him speak about literally anything, right? He could be talking about
rivers,
biking or rivers or trees or like whatever. And he would just make you be like, yeah, that's exciting. And like no one else could do that.
Right. And then Dave Pash would be like, and now the 3-2 pitch, or
right.
And we're tied at 57 here in Westwood.
Yeah.
What do you got, Brian?
Well, for me, I was born in 80, so I don't really remember him playing because he was pretty much done, I think, by the time I was like
early
3 or 4.
80s, yeah, mid 80s.
But for me, I just remember him and Marv Albert doing NBC or NBA on NBC.
So do I.
On those Saturday and Sunday afternoon games when they used to have Saturday and Sunday afternoon games on NBC. But that's what I always think of, is I think of Bill Walton, the broadcaster. Not even so much like he kind of has the Bill Walton that used to be with Marv Albert and the Bill Walton that would do like college games are kind of different, because the later Bill Walton with the college games, that was kind of the, like you said, hey, Bill, tell us about the Oregon Ducks. And then he would just go off on
Speaking
some
of ducks, there's 67 different types.
Exactly. So there was 2 different, and I liked both of them. But for me, my prime Bill Walton was him and Marv Albert doing NBA games.
Here's
NBC.
a great lesson for, I would say, for people in general, especially in today's world where everyone's trying to be someone else. Like on social media, everyone's TikTok looks like everyone's TikTok, and everyone's Instagram looks like everyone is Instagram. Bill Walton is a true reflection of what it means to be your own unique self.
Yeah.
Like he was embraced for who he was, and who he was unlike other people. You don't have to try to be someone else. Like just be you, and that's good enough. And I think Bill Walton is a perfect example of that. Who would have ever envisioned out of Helix, UCLA, what he went through in life, that he'd become this brilliant broadcaster? And he was beloved for who he was. And by the way, as a broadcaster, he wasn't. There were people that loved him. There were people that hated him. But guess what? That's a really good quality. And that's like real life. You don't have to win everyone over. Just be yourself.
And the thing about Bill that I think locals loved is he was an ambassador for San Diego, and he loved San Diego.
Absolutely.
And you would just see him out riding his bike.
That's just what I was gonna say.
Random places riding his bike. You're like, who is that abnormally large human being?
My buddy, I don't remember where he said he used to live in like Escondido or something. He said that Bill Walton used to ride one of the trails up there, and he said he would stick out like a sore thumb because all of a sudden this 7'5" guy would come by on a bike, and it's like, oh, I think that's Bill Walton. He's like, oh, you think?
Brent look small. That's how tall he is.
Steve Fisher said in Mark Ziegler's article that is in today's UT on the front page, which is essentially an obituary, I believe. Steve Fisher said he's Mr. San Diego.
Wow.
And he also credited him. Remember, his son played at San Diego State, Chris. He credited Bill Walton his passion for San Diego State for helping put San Diego State basketball on the map in the last 25 years, with his son playing for Coach Fisher for 4 years. So, I mean, it runs through and through. You go to social media, Jim, there must be 100,000 people that have had a photo with Bill Walton.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mother had a photo with Bill Walton, apparently. It's unbelievable.
I didn't have a photo with Bill Walton.
I think we actually did.
We have one. I dug it up yesterday. I'll send it to you.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, it's he is on the
here we go.
I hate
San Diego Mount Rushmore.
I hate doing this on radio because the Mount Rushmore talk is always just like,
who else would you that you've done it?
Mount Rushmore talk. Here we go.
Wait, so San Diego sports figures or just San Diegans?
I mean, you could put him in both if you
could
wanted.
put him in both, but he would probably elevate beyond the sports figures into just like
he's got
the legacy of San Diegans.
He's got a statue at the sports arena.
It's pretty cool.
Helix High, like he just living here and advocating so much for San Diego and being an ambassador for the city. And he's definitely up there as like sports figures and just like famous people in general, like a famous figure in general that you would put on the list for San Diegans that is recognizable. Like I remember when we first moved into the studio, this is behind the scenes, and we were trying to think of what to do on these walls. I remember we were talking about like murals on the walls, which would have been cool. But anyway,
next time.
Yeah. Bill Walton was one of the, like Bill, Tony, Junior, Trevor, like maybe I think LT we were talking about at the time. Like those are like I think those are the names, but Bill was definitely a name, like one of the first names that was mentioned when we were discussing about like oh, maybe we did like a mural or something here. Like that's just says all you need to know about how, we thought of Bill in this station is like he is an iconic San Diego figure.
Mr. San Diego, Steve Fisher said again today in the Union Tribune. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5 p.m. with more on the life and legacy of, again, Bill Walton. On the other side, that might be the first time in the history of Jon and Jim we did not mention the San Diego Padres in the first block of the show.
Wow.
It has been a long time since we have not done that.
Little inside baseball here, John. Yes, I have caught up on everything Padres related, but it took me a while because I didn't really consume much Padres with the wedding.
Okay, well, then you can take the next segment off. We're breaking down every inning since you've been gone.
Okay. I did see
Juan Soto
showed up, and I missed all those retweets, but whatever.
On the other side, all right, the Padres have begun a stretch of a very soft schedule. Can they take advantage or not as they play game 2 tonight against the Miami Marlins? Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5 p.m. We'll tell you about some giveaways we have today as well. Just underway. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, can the Padres take advantage of a soft schedule that started yesterday with the first of 3 against the Miami Marlins? That's next.
This update is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Padres Marlins, game 2 of their 3-game series. Tonight, 6:40 first pitch. Padres looking to win the series tonight after they beat the Marlins yesterday 2-1. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Other news then, Luis Arraez was named National League Player of the Week today. Moving over to the NBA. Last night, Celtics beat the Pacers 105-102 to sweep them to move on to the NBA Finals, where they will likely face the Dallas Mavericks, as the Mavericks are looking for the sweep versus the Timberwolves tonight, 5:30 p.m. tip-off time there. And, of course, Bill Walton yesterday passed away at the age of 71. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of the pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions do apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, so while Jim was getting married, the Padres were playing baseball. That's how baseball typically works. They don't stop for weddings, Memorial Day, Labor Day, July 4th.
Did you ask them?
We could have asked.
I tried,
Maybe they would have.
but I saw the Yankees on the schedule, and it was very hard. One of the funniest things about the wedding was when Marty and Darren came up to us, and we were talking, and Marty wanted to take a picture. Leah, Darren's wife, was trying to take the picture, but Marty had the Padres game on her phone, and so Leah couldn't take the picture while the Padres game was on the phone.
Yeah, she did have the game up, which kept us up to date.
But they were getting their ass kicked, and they weren't really doing much, right?
Now, but hold on. Did that violate policy of George Washington, the DJ, who said this is a no-phone wedding?
No. George Washington said it's an unplugged ceremony.
Yeah. Afterwards, it was fine.
Oh, it was okay in the venue.
Yes, it was okay. I kind of
from the reception on.
Yeah, I kind of thought to myself, people might misunderstand that a little bit, because if you say, "Oh, unplugged," then people might think, "Oh, it's taboo to take your phone out." Right. But no, it's just the ceremony part, because we wanted everyone to be in the moment and not like watching it through their phones. Especially for like pictures.
I was wondering why nobody had their phones out actually during the ceremony.
Really?
Yes, I'm like, this is very odd.
It was like when you go to the movies, only we didn't have to watch that 5-minute video of Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. See, I could understand that, because I like faintly heard him say that as we were walking around, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool.
I blacked out.
I know you did.
And I wasn't even getting married.
I surprisingly didn't black out. I was very like in the moment, and so it was good. But Marty had the Padres game on her phone for the and she kept coming up to me. She's like,
"It's 4-0,
26 scoreless innings, Jim," and she's like, 27 scoreless innings for the Padres.
All right. On the other side, we are going to give away this hour. We have tickets to see the San Diego Strike Force. So let's give away tickets to the San Diego Strike Force this hour. We'll do that coming up in about 15 minutes. Next hour, we have tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on June 6th. Really cool giveaway. Janet Jackson and Nelly will do that during Trainwreck Radio. Anyway, the long and the short of it is the Padres have been playing while you've been getting married.
I missed Xander being out for most of the season with a broken collarbone, right?
No, shoulder.
Sorry, whatever. I missed the 5-game losing streak.
No, absolutely not.
Are you sure?
100%.
Well, they lost 2 to the Yankees and then the last 2 to the 4-game losing streak.
No.
What was I missed? What did I miss?
They didn't lose. They were on the road before the Yankees series. They beat someone. Who was that? Cincinnati.
Who did they play? Cincinnati?
They lost 5 consecutive at home.
Oh, that's what I saw. Okay.
So here's what you missed.
Sorry.
In the 4-game homestand that has basically been your wedding weekend, 4-game homestand, they've scored 5 earned runs.
Yeah, not great.
But they have split those 4 games. How? They've taken advantage of other teams' miscues. A couple of days ago against the Yankees, Gleyber Torres' error leads to a 4-run inning. Essentially, you could argue they don't score, they don't win without the Gleyber Torres error.
And yesterday,
Tim Anderson back-to-back awful errors that allowed the Padres to break open a 1-1 game and take a 2-1 lead, and they'd win a 2-1. So here's the thing. They're not scoring at home. You know that story.
Not surprised.
They cannot hit left-handed pitching. That includes yesterday.
Not surprised.
They're facing a lefty tonight, Jesus Luzardo,
who's been really good lately.
They cannot win at night at home.
Not surprised.
So can they buck all those trends tonight? Left-handed starter, night game, team under 500, and can they get 2 games over 500 and win a series against the Miami Marlins?
it's nothing's really changed as since I left. Like with not scoring at home, can't do well against left-handers. They're inconsistent. They pitch pretty well, but they're having a hard time, getting the left-handed pitching and scoring at home. And what are they now at home? 12-17 or 12-18 at home?
I don't even know.
I
could look it up.
It's a
under
really
500.
bad record, and all of their offensive statistics at home are like bottom of the league, and that just has to change. They're great on the road. They're one of the best teams on the road. But guess what? It doesn't mean anything if you're just all of a sudden become one of the worst teams at home.
12-18.
If they do not figure out their home issues, okay, they're going to probably be around a 500 team at the end of the year. And that's not good enough. It's just not. And you still have guys that are struggling. You still have guys that haven't broken out yet. Tatis is, I think, really kind of going through it right now.
Oh, he's going through it.
Machado is kind of just up and down, not really having a hot stretch lately. Probably their best hitter right now is, no surprise, Luis Ariz, who became the National League Player of the Week today. The back end of the bullpen has been fantastic. Jeremiah Estrada has emerged as a stud out of that bullpen, and they have a legitimate 1-2 punch with Estrada and Suarez. But if they don't score enough runs, it's kind of hard to get to those guys if you have a hard time scoring runs at home. So all in all, nothing much has changed. There hasn't been much surprises. I feel like since I left, it's just kind of like, okay, I kind of hope that they turn this around, and I hope that they become a better home team. But until they do that, they're going to be a 500 team, and it's going to be a struggle for them.
But here's the thing. If you're a 500 team in the National League, you could be a 500 team 2 months from today. And guess what we'll be saying about the Padres? They're a game out of a playoff spot, or they're game up out of a playoff spot. They don't have to go on any run. Now, these 19 games, it's all opportunities. I mean, you got one series against a good team. It's in Kansas City. They're very good. Look at everything else. You get the Angels. They're awful. Angels are 6-19 at home. Worst team in baseball. You're going to Anaheim. You've got the Mets in there. I mean, look, the upcoming 19-game stretch that started yesterday, if you told me they were to go 12-7, they'll be favored in 12 of those 19 games, if not more. If they can somehow put together a 12-7 19-game stretch, we'll look up, and they'll be 5 games over 500. But you always talked about this August 1st run.
Yeah.
This is just as simple as the August 1st run. What's going on right now with Miami and going to play the Angels and going to New York to take on the bad Mets and whatever else is in there, other than the Royals, this is a 19-game stretch they can absolutely take advantage of.
Okay. I'm looking at this 19-game stretch you're talking about.
Teams under 500.
Is never an easy.
Yeah, true. Still under 500.
It's still under 500. I get it. Technically, they are playing, 5? You said 5 of the next
6 are against teams under 500, I think.
Correct. Arizona, okay.
Oakland.
Philadelphia, Milwaukee.
No. Where are you looking at? These next 19 games?
Looking at June.
2024?
Yeah.
No.
Am I wrong?
I think.
I mean, they play Miami tonight, obviously.
Yeah.
They finished up the month with they go to Kansas City and the Angels.
The Brewers are in 3 weeks because I'm going.
And then they come home to face Arizona, Oakland for a 7-game series or 7-game homestand.
And then they go to the Mets.
That's
it. That's the 19 game.
Okay.
That's the 19 game.
I'm also including Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Washington, and Boston.
Well, that's like your August stretch. After those 15 games, I'm sure it gets hard.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, again, they haven't been good against bad teams. They're under 500.
You're right. From the from the Angels series to that Mets, series that ends, 2-week stretch there.
Even right now, Miami's 19-36.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of that, and you can't just play 500 ball in that stretch.
Right.
You need to take advantage of what's given to you. But on the flip side, you can also say, well, like, why should you say that about the Padres? They're also a 500 team. What gives you that right to say that they should take advantage of these teams under 500 when the Padres themselves are a 500 team?
True, but I mean, shouldn't a 29-28 team win series against a team that's 19-36, like the Marlins?
Well, you're already all in, so you have to say these things.
No, but I mean, shouldn't a 29-28 team beat up on a team that's 19-36? Yeah, Marlins do really well. Like 5.
You play
when you yeah, who you play. All right, we'll get to Is That Good? The best and worst of the sports weekend on the other side. Plus, we'll give away tickets to see the San Diego Strike Force on June 8th at Pechanga Arena. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Stay with us. It's Jon and Jim. All right. Is That Good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. That's next. minutes, we'll give away tickets to see the San Diego Strike Force take on the Arizona Rattlers. This will be June 8th, which happens to be my birthday. At Pechanga Arena.
Happy birthday, John, because I know I'll forget it.
Yeah, you probably will.
Actually, the only way I'll remember it is because on our video board out in the hallway. No, it doesn't matter. They'll put your birthday as a June birthday on the video board, and we walk by that every single day.
Happy birthday, June 8th.
So we will be reminded of that.
Social media will remind us.
And social media, but mostly the video board.
Here's what I want. I want a Fossil watch.
I gave you that.
I want Blenders sunglasses.
I gave you that.
I want Pokemon cards.
Now, did you?
I want more.
I asked you during the break. Did you even realize I got those engraved for you?
I know you said that the watches were engraved with our names.
Yeah.
And I put the watch on. It's a beautiful watch. I haven't worn a watch in years because with phones, it's like not as many people wear watches anymore.
The watch is basically like a dress watch.
Yes,
it's
you
like
put
you
it on
wear
with a dress shirt.
Yeah, if you go to a nice event or you wear a dress shirt.
No, I love
the
it.
watch. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, because of all the commotion, I was officiating your wedding. I was super nervous. The last thing I was looking at was like the engraving. So I put the thing on. We were using it for photos. We're taking photos.
I
of
actually
the
have the photos. Yeah,
you have the photos of the engraving.
I have the photos of us doing like the Power Rangers,
like hands in with the watch.
With the watches. Yeah.
Why don't you put that on social media?
I think I will. There's a bunch of them, dude.
You guys got to turn the camera back on.
Oh Lord,
Lord, we are
on,
just.
Man. I remember my first time doing this.
It's been a little while. I'm sorry. It's been a while. I actually came in here and I was like, let's see if I remember how to do this.
And the answer is no. Let's get to this.
Exactly. First up, this hasn't happened yet, but I think it will happen. 2 sweeps in the conference finals.
Jinx.
Whoa, hold on.
Jinx.
I know.
Minnesota could come all the way back and win this thing.
They're going to be the one in 270 something that failed before.
Well, let's just say that my pick for the Timberwolves making the NBA Finals looks like it's going to fail miserably. Brent, is that good?
What? Good? 2 sweeps?
Are you kidding me?
Well, the 2 potential sweeps and my pick of the Timberwolves. It's not good. It's not great.
All right, I'll give you an NBA one, which is basically you stealing what I already wrote. The Celtics, Celtics swept the Pacers.
Okay,
is that good?
It is good.
Dude, I didn't watch 1 second of that series. Not one. Did you watch it? I mean,
because Kristen loves the Pacers. I watched all 4 games. Yeah,
it was so weird because I knew there were games going on, and
they led in 3 of the 4 games they lost with like 4 minutes to play.
You know, it's probably not it's not great being a sports talk show
and just
host
saying I haven't watched anything in a week,
and then saying, "Oh yeah, I completely checked out. I don't even know what happened this weekend."
Probably not.
But it's my wedding, so I have
It's
like
all
that
good.
excuse, I guess.
Nobody expects you to know what you're talking about anyway.
I never do.
What else do you have?
Luis Ariz, John. He was named the National League Player of the Week today. In the last week, he hit .472. Okay, 17 hits, 1 strikeout. He is incredible.
No. That's for Brent to determine.
Is that good? I think Brent would say that's good because what Luis Ariz has done in a Padres uniform, John, is hit 385.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on a binge. He's had 3 4-hit games. I mean, back-to-back 4-hit games. No one does that. He has truly been incredible. What is less impressive is what the Padres and Marlins combined to do yesterday in a 2-1 Padres win with men in scoring position. The 2 teams combined to go 0 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Brent, is that good?
No, it's not good.
0 for 16.
Not great.
In a game of baseball.
Well, at least they won, right?
Yeah. No, it was good for the Padres, but
they had that big walk there late in the game.
Yes.
Jake Cronenworth.
That's right.
Final one for me. I got married. Is that good?
Oh, I like that. No, he missed it.
No, it's not good. He missed it. That's
Jim got married.
I got married actually, and that was
this
crazy.
weekend.
And I'm wearing a ring now forever.
I'm not. I need to start wearing my wedding ring more often. I wore it this weekend.
You wore it for the reception?
I stopped wearing it during the pandemic. I need to start wearing it again.
Why did you pick the pandemic?
Because we weren't doing anything. I was never going out. So I used to wear it to work.
Okay.
But then I wasn't even going to work.
But then you took it off when you got home?
Yeah, I wouldn't leave it on. I wouldn't leave it on to shower. So I would take it off, and then I just started wearing it less frequently.
I made that mistake the first shower I took with the ring on. I kept it, and I started like scrubbing my head.
And all of a sudden it goes down the drain.
And I'm like, ooh, I should probably take this thing off.
By the way, my last one, Bill Walton. National Player of the Year at UCLA, not one time, not two times, 3 consecutive years for John Wooden. 1972, 1973, 1974. Is that good? Very good.
Very, very good. Very good.
All right. Who wants tickets to see the San Diego Strike Force take on the Arizona Rattlers on my birthday, June 8th at Pechanga Arena? I don't know if I'll be there, but you can celebrate my birthday at Pechanga Arena.
Okay.
With the San Diego Strike Force and the Arizona Rattlers, a game you don't want to miss. Here's the number to call. Caller 7. Those are your tickets. 2 free tickets. 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. Now, we still have the wrap to get to.
Yes, the wrap. We also have wrong answers only to what you said. Did we read or we didn't say the zinger that you said at the wedding?
No, we'll mention that at 4:30.
Okay, 4:30.
I had a zinger that went over very well in the crowd.
It was an off-the-cuff zinger, right?
It was.
Okay, so you didn't plan on saying this?
Not in the book.
Not in the
book.
book.
You can look.
And it drew very, very, very loud laughter throughout the crowd.
I'm getting like direct messages from people that were in this wedding or at this wedding, like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I really thought you did an amazing job officiating. And there's some of those. Someone came up to me, one of Aaron's dad's buddies, like, you're hilarious. Your humor reminds me of myself. I'm so funny too.
Well,
I'm like, oh, all right.
Great, I mean,
if
I wasn't around, Joe would want you to be Aaron's husband.
Honestly, to the point where Joe, Aaron's dad, gave the speech saying, like, Jim checks all the boxes other than
Eagles fan.
He's not an Eagles fan. So, like, and
we have a funny we'll do it at 4:30.
Well, you kind of are an Eagles fan, aren't you?
Well,
they're going to convert you.
You guys know exactly.
I know
we'll say what happened at 4:30, which I'm sure has already made the rounds on social media from Darnay Trip.
Right. I know you wouldn't be caught dead like an Eagles hat at your wedding.
No
way.
Of course not.
All right, 877-767-4760. Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see the San Diego Strike Force on June 8th. Again, 877-767-4760. Call right now. Mark Ziegler joins the show at 5 p.m. with more on Bill Walton's life. On the other side, we'll get to the wrap, the biggest sports stories to kick off hour 2. That's next on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Padres Marlins, game 2 of their 3-game series tonight. Petco Park, 6:40 first pitch. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Luis Ariz, he was named National League Player of the Week today. Moving over to NBA action. The Celtics have already punched their ticket to the NBA Finals as they completed the sweep of the Indiana Pacers last night. Tonight, the Dallas Mavericks are looking to do the same versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game 4 of that series in Dallas. 5:30 tip-off time with the Mavericks leading 3-0. And yesterday, the great Bill Walton passed away at the age of 71. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions do apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Married Jim. I'll just do that for the next 2 years. We are with you until 6 p.m. We do have Mark Ziegler on the show at 5.
I did think it was funny when I don't remember if it was in one of your speeches or the vows where you guys were talking about how we used to call her, relationship girl, then fiance girl.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that her friends actually referred to you as radio show guy.
Radio show guy.
I thought that was kind of funny.
I was radio show guy because they had nicknames for
I asked Kristen about that. I'm like, why is it? I'm like, hey, Aaron's girlfriends used to call Jim radio show guy. She's like, that's what girls do.
Yeah.
Like every guy has there's something about the guy that becomes the guy that you're dating until it gets real.
They don't use names like,
like Jim. They'll
or
be
John.
They'll be like blue hat guy.
Or like
he always wears a blue hat at the bar.
Or like bad breath smelling guy or something.
But then you transit, you've made it if all of a sudden you later become Jim.
Correct.
And then if you ultimately end up marrying her, you transition from radio show guy to Jim.
Right, exactly. Which
so
I did. I made it. I
learned that Aaron's sister wanted to kill Jim initially because she wasn't sure if she liked Jim because it's Jim.
Dude, the first time I met her was at Claire's wedding back in November of 2022. And one of the first things she said is, if you ever bleeping hurt my sister, I will bleeping find you and bleeping kill you.
Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what Aaron was hoping
standard
for.
protocol.
It is kind of standard protocol. But then she hugged me and she goes, I trust you.
Right. And then she tried to make amends for it at the wedding where she's like, I kind of feel bad about trying to threaten Jim's life when I met him initially with Aaron, but he turns out to be a pretty good guy.
I'm okay.
You're kind of hard to I mean, a lot of our listeners dislike you, but I feel like in the real world, it's kind of hard to dislike you.
Right? You heard some of the
radio show.
You heard some of the speeches. I mean, what do you think?
The speeches from your friends?
Yeah.
It sounds like they hate you.
They do, yeah.
Truthfully,
you missed it, Brent.
There weren't any jokes in the speeches. They were just like, we hate Jim.
It was the absolute epic roast of Jim at my rehearsal dinner. And I felt like my mom took videos of all the stuff, right? And Joe.
Was John on time for the rehearsal dinner?
No, he was not.
Well, that's because I was doing your radio show downtown, you idiot.
Well, that's why I asked. I didn't know if you made it or not.
No, I made it. And fortunately, there wasn't a lot of traffic, but it was It was a lot.
We knew. I knew that you were.
No, you texted me like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Where am I?"
Should have been like, "I'm at home." What do you mean? Where should I be?
I got to go to Oceanside. It's 6 hours away.
I got to go to this thing. What? Just I'm officiating the wedding. And what?
Okay, I want to make mention to our listeners that we have tickets to give away to see Janet Jackson and Nelly. We'll do that this hour. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. This is June 6th, so coming up. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. What did I do that made Aaron laugh at the wedding?
Text us 70470.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have replied to this on social media, or you can text us 70470. Start your message with the word team. Mark Ziegler on the life of Bill Walton coming up at 5 p.m. But right now, let's get to this.
The NFL season begins in exactly 100 days. What's the biggest storyline so far heading into this season?
The biggest storyline right now. It's a very good question. I mean, can the Chiefs three-peat?
Has to be.
Right?
Has to be.
Is there anything bigger than that?
Like kind of a boring offseason.
There hasn't been like any like big time
headline-wise.
quarterback moves. Russell Wilson, I don't consider like this massive move to the Steelers. Like he got cut.
No, it's not like, oh, look out now, Kansas City.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's got Russell Wilson. No, of course that's the
Should I
storyline.
take this Russell Wilson, make Pittsburgh a contender off the
Yeah, please
list
do.
question? Okay.
No, of course that's the storyline and a huge one. You got the Chiefs and you got the Taylor Swift, side story, and you got a team that's won all these Super Bowls under Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, I mean, they are the story of the National Football League until someone knocks them off in one of those high leverage spots in a postseason game. It's Kansas City's league and it's Patrick Mahomes' world and it's Travis Kelce's world. And we're all just living it.
We are living in it.
Next
Imagine their wedding.
Oh my gosh.
You thought my wedding was like kind of cool. Their wedding is going to be like.
Are they getting married?
I'm just saying, if they did get married,
Do you think they will?
I think that it's going down that path. I'd be surprised.
What do you think her friends call Travis Kelce? Football boy?
Football guy?
Football guy?
I think you just jinxed them. They'll be
Probably
broken
did.
up by the end of the
Well,
week.
here's
now.
the thing: if Travis Kelce, if they break up and the Swifties find out that like Travis did it,
Right.
or like if he did something
Oh.
wrong, it's
Could be the end of him.
It's over for him, dude. You think that NFL fans are crazy, or like other fans of whatever is crazy? So the Swifties, they're crazy in a good way.
I feel like the odds would support them getting married, like 51-49. Is that
think
too?
so? It feels like it. I mean, they're very open now, and it's like they're doing a lot of stuff together, and obviously because they're like dating. But he's like going to her concerts. She's going to the. I'd be surprised if they didn't get married. Is what I'm trying to say.
Would she perform at her wedding?
Good question. She'd have anybody she'd want to perform at her wedding.
True.
Anybody,
True.
like anybody she wants.
Next question.
Are you excited for the NBA finals, which aren't announced yet, but Jim thinks they are?
I know they're not announced yet, Brent, but we can all agree here. It's pretty hard to envision the Timberwolves coming back from down 3-0 to the Mavericks, right?
No one's ever done it in the NBA.
No one's ever done it. I think
Till now.
I think there is a lot of juice in the finals with the Mavericks and Celtics, primarily with Kyrie going back to Boston. The Celtics looking to finally get over that hump. They're the best team in the NBA. If they don't win, it would be an upset. And is this Luka's moment where Luka can take that next step and go from just being a superstar to being like the elite of the elite in the NBA with the finally having a championship, even though he's pretty young right now anyway.
Well, and also like what we talked about, I think when you were here last week, is like it's been 16 years since the Celtics have won a championship. And if they win one, they've got the most titles in the history of the league, more than the Lakers. I want to say they're 17-5 all time in NBA finals. A lot of that obviously with Bill Russell back in the day. But like this is an elite franchise that hasn't won in 16 years and is looking for an 18th all-time title, which would surpass the Lakers. And if you don't get it done now, Boston, when are you getting it done?
You have to get it. If you don't get it done now, by the way, then there's probably a good chance that they're going to consider and break up the core of Brown and Tatum. Because it's just, if they don't get it done now, it just ain't working out. And I don't know the health of Porzingis, but yeah, it's now or never for the Celtics with this core of players.
100%.
Well, I was going to say that's the interesting thing. Besides Kyrie going up against Boston, who he used to play for, the Mavericks are the ones that traded Porzingis to Boston.
Oh, I forgot
Oh,
about
that's
So
that.
interesting.
it'll
Yeah,
also,
that's
there's a little bit of it on both sides.
There's
I
a lot
like
of star
it.
power here, so it's definitely
Tons of star
definitely
power.
one
Big
of those
cities.
Yeah,
Dallas, Boston. No, that'd
we
be
talked about the ratings a couple weeks ago. Like this is a pretty damn good matchup.
It's kind of like both teams are like, yeah, we don't need you. We can win titles without you. And then they both
kidding.
were proven right, kind of.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and this is way better, by the way, than the alternative of T-Wolves Pacers. Like if that's the
I
true
agree.
alternative
I
of
agree.
T-Wolves
Anything
Pacers, like
Pacers.
give me a break.
yeah, I agree.
All right, next question.
Do the Padres need to sign Luis Ariz to an extension?
I don't know if they need to, but I think he's a guy that I would feel confident in giving an extension to. I don't know if they can, but wouldn't you agree that that type of player and what he has done and what he does and how his, bat plays at Petco, just seemingly almost better than everybody else's bat just because he's not like a power guy, that he should be a Padre for a long time?
They should have done it yesterday. I mean, By the way, it's not going to be a crazy number because of the way he gets on base in today's baseball, which is with singles.
Runs, yeah.
He's not going to hit for power. He's not going to drive a lot of guys in. He's not going to be asked to do that either. He's a brilliant table setter. I don't know what the cost is. I need another 5 years.
Yep.
So you have him through 2025, which is age 28 season. But here's the thing. He's not a speed guy. He's not a defense guy.
No.
His bat's going to play through his mid-30s.
Oh, yeah.
So I need him for 5 years. I'm happy to pay him whatever he's worth for those 5 years. I don't know what that number is. People should throw it out right now on the text line, 70470. Start it with the word team. Like, throw a number out, Jim. What's a 5-year deal for Luis Arraez?
I think over 100, right? Like he's going to be an all-star this year again.
Yeah, I was thinking like 5 for 90, 5 for 100.
He's going to be an all-star. He'll most likely, I haven't looked. I mean, where's he at in the batting title race for the National League? He's because
top three.
Yep. Anybody?
Otani.
Okay.
I think is ahead of him.
Mookie's up there, but Mookie's hitting 336. Luis Arraez is hitting 333.
Yeah.
Okay. He wins another batting title. That's back-to-back batting titles. He'll be an all-star again. Best pure just hitter, like average-wise in the league.
Okay, look at it this way. He's getting 10 in arbitration. He's going to get a bump next year. Let's say to 15.
Is he a $20 million player?
That's the question. I don't think he's beyond that. So the question is he a $20 million player? And maybe he is. I don't think you need to go beyond 5 for 100. That might be an overpay, truthfully, for a guy that hits singles. And what if he doesn't hit 336? It could be a problem and doesn't defend. But 5 for 90, I'm in. I'll sign that deal right now.
Well, it's not like he has an outlier. I mean, he's a career 326 hitter.
I know.
Like, and it's not just a year. He has over 2,200 at bats in his career. He's a 326
but
lifetime
you're not going
hitter.
more than 100. You can't go more than $20 million a year for a guy that's never going to have an OPS in the 800s.
Gefilte Fish on our YouTube stream says 8 for 165.
No, he's not going to get an 8-year deal. I wouldn't think.
No.
That's a lot of years. But I think 100 is the threshold.
But I think what we're both getting at is they need to find a way to sign him long term. Because, and the same thing with Dylan Cease might be easier said than done because he's got Boris Client.
Yep.
But like those two trades that Preller has made this year, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. Do the Padres give out contracts that aren't 15 years?
Right. I mean, the Cease deal is a lot harder to get done because Cease is a starting pitcher in the big leagues, and the going rate for starting pitching is a fortune of money.
That's a deal that I don't know if they can accomplish because of just the money that he's going to want.
Yeah. Arraez, again, if you're choosing between, remember, people are like, oh, you got to extend Ha-Seong Kim. Hold on. I mean, if you're choosing right now between Luis Arraez and Ha-Seong Kim, Ha-Seong, it's been a nice 4 years, you know? I mean, there's no question, obviously.
I mean, I ideally, you go forward the next 5 seasons, and your infield is Manny, Bogey, Luis Arraez, and Jake Cronenworth.
You spelled Merrill wrong. Next question.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, my bad.
Are you guys worried about Taddy?
Yeah, dude.
Toddy?
It's not good, man. I mean, the
saw the quotes from Cassavell.
What did he say?
What were you doing this weekend?
I don't know.
That's unbelievable.
Getting married.
Okay,
Priorities, man.
Sorry, my bad.
I mean, this was crazy concerning. I did a double take when I saw this. I could not believe.
When did these quotes come out?
After he hit that home run against the Yankees, the 4-1 loss, the night of your wedding. You should have been paying attention.
My bad. Hey, babe, sorry. I know that it's our wedding, but I need to read these quotes from Fernando Tatis.
You should have ran over and been like, honey, he didn't do the third base thingy.
Here it is.
He didn't do the shuffle thingy?
Here it is.
No.
It's been a grind for Fernando Tatis Jr. recently. Consider his latest home run trot. Why did he skip that signature stutter step around third base? I'm not swaggy right now. I need to play better. Fernando Tatis Jr. I credit the quote and the transparency and the honesty, but that is a deep look inside the issues, which for me are mental with Fernando Tatis Jr. He's over swinging. He's in his head. He doesn't have that same energy, persona, vibe we're used to seeing. Look at his May numbers. I haven't even done it, but his May numbers are awful. Just
I have
awful.
done it so far. Well, not May numbers. Well, hold on. I can do the May numbers.
Yeah. What's he done in May?
I'll do May. All right. 24 games, John. He is hitting, I mean, not as bad as you think. 253 with a 709 OPS.
That's
still horrible. I get
700 OPS for a month for this guy.
And Is it weird to say that someone's too emotional?
So you mean
Like
he is too emotional?
And I'm not trying
He's
to
too in his head.
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is when he's playing well, and we've seen it, he is the most energetic guy out there.
Not this year, just one time, the Cubs game.
This is concerning because they paid him a lot of money, and they paid him to be an MVP caliber player. And then the suspension, and then the injury. And if this is the guy you're going to get for the next 5 years, which is like kind of the 5-year span that you were hoping to see that MVP level every single year, right? That is very concerning. Now, you see guys that get the same type of surgery on their shoulders. It takes them a little bit to get back to that guy.
Yeah.
Like Cody Bellinger.
Yep.
You know, he went through a lot of struggles after he got the pretty much same surgery on his shoulder until he finally got back to Cody Bellinger last year with the Cubs. I don't know exactly what he's doing this year, but I think he's okay, right, Brent? Cody Bellinger?
He just came back from the IL.
Okay. But last year was a huge year for Cody. And, I mean, Tatis, it's a concern, man. It is a big concern. And the question will always be with Tatis, if he does not turn it around to become that guy before his injury and his suspension, will be, was he that guy because of why he got suspended? And it might be unfair to say that, but actually it probably isn't, because perception's reality, and you got suspended for a PED substance, and before you were an MVP, and now I know the injury plays a big factor, but now you're a shell of yourself.
Yeah, look, you're right. I mean, you'd be foolish to think the narrative on Tatis anywhere other than San Diego isn't about PEDs, because other people aren't going to do a deep dive. They're going to look at numbers and be like, well, hold on. This guy was a top 3 position player in baseball as a 19, 20, and 21-year-old, and now he's a shell of himself after these injuries and the suspension. Like that's all you need to know. That's now, some of this he did to himself, and forget about the suspension, although he did that to himself as well. But I'm talking about the injuries that occurred off field. The stuff that happened on field, I have no issues with.
We forget about the wrist.
Absolutely, the risk that happened as a result of what he did off field in the offseason,
and it healed wrong,
and he was dishonest about it as well. So I think he's a different individual, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There were things he needed to learn from his extreme youth, like when he was a 19 and 20-year-old. But I'm with you; they didn't sign up for this type of player, and I'm not even talking about just the lack of productivity. I'm just watching him, out there. This does not look like the same guy. He's not a threat to run. He doesn't have the same persona about it. Remember the plays he would make, just like going first to third on balls hitting the infield, or tagging off from second on a ball back of first. He just doesn't do any of that anymore. Now he's been healthy, knock on wood. Yeah. Played 130 games last year in a row. Plays all the games this year and might play 162 or near it for the first time in his career, but I don't want him playing 162 and being blah. I want him playing 162 and being one of the top performers in baseball.
Yeah, last year was kind of his pass year. You gave him a pass.
Mm-hmm.
You said, okay, 2 years off. You're coming off of major surgery. The suspension, just kind of stay make sure you don't do anything wrong and say all the right things, and see what you can do off of this surgery. And I think that he started out really well last year, and then it kind of caught up to him, not playing for 2 years. That catches up to anybody.
Yep.
The end of last season, he was just tired.
Ran out of gas.
But he did play Gold Glove defense, and he became a Platinum Glove right fielder, and he was an absolute weapon out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that much this year. I think it's the reputation of him now, why you're not seeing him throw out many guys, because they're not trying to test him as much, which is also a good thing. If you have that reputation, guys aren't going to test you. But he has shown glimpses here and there. But he's also made some errors this season in right field. He hasn't been perfect by any means, but his bat is the biggest concern of them all. And to have a 740 OPS right now, in the last 30 games, John, it's just awful.
but I guess you go back to the end of it.
229 with a 661 OPS. Like, that's bad.
61 OPS plus?
No, 661.
661.
Not OPS.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I wish I had the fix. I'm sure they do as well because, like, this thing doesn't get fully going without him. Machado, by the way, has been a lot better. He's hitting 6 consecutive games. Bogarts is out. I think you can overcome it because I think some of the moves that Preller's made, not just Arise, Solano, Peralta, I think they can overcome it. I don't think it's ideal. I prefer to have them and playing well, but they don't have them. I think you can overcome it. I don't know if you can overcome Fernando Tatis Jr. doing this all year.
I don't know if you can either because you lost Bogarts for a considerable amount of time. Who knows if he's going to be back this year at all?
It's going to be months.
It's funny you mentioned Peralta. I'm like, wait, who are you talking
Yeah,
about? And then
Peralta,
I remember, like,
Solano,
Peralta
Arise.
got
Those
called up while I was out.
Those are real additions.
Okay, you can say what you want about Manny, John, but it's still not good enough by any stretch.
No, but I'm saying in the last, like, if you pulled up, I mean, this is arbitrary. Last 15 games, last 10 games, he's been better.
Is hitting 228 with a 333 slugging percentage. His last 15 games good.
What about his last 7?
His last 7 games hitting 269 with a 423
He's
slugging.
got to be better. I'm with you. I mean, it's simple.
His last 30 games, he's hitting 224 with a 319 slug and a 262 on base percentage.
You're not telling. I mean, I'm the choir, but I know he is riding, I think, a 6-game hitting streak.
Congrats. It's a soft 6-game hitting streak, and he needs to be a lot better.
True. Although he has finally had moments that have mattered a bit.
That is
He's
correct.
had a couple of hits in meaningful spots over the last week.
He has 5 home runs and 220 at-bats this year.
And Toddy's got 9. Yeah, I mean, these guys can't combine to hit. Throw out a number right now. So 9 and 5 over a third away through the season. I mean, they can't combine to hit fewer than 40 home runs combined. That's crazy.
You need Manny to hit his 30, and you need Toddy to hit around 30 as well. Ideally, you know, you're asking for a lot more from Tatis. You're asking for 35 plus from Tatis, and he's capable of that, or at least he was capable of that. And Manny is the constant 30 home runs every year.
You can't single teams to death for 162 games.
No.
I mean, they are that team with Luis Ariz and Jerks and Profar. He's got a little bit of power, but like they're the team that they kind of want to just go station to station and beat you. But that's hard, man. Waiting on that 4-run inning with 3 singles, a walk, and an error.
Yeah,
they've had those. Is that going to continue?
Yeah.
462 games.
You need to have moments of your season where you can be like, all right, time for a 3-run home run.
Right.
Like you just need to have those moments.
Yes.
And they need to be a considerable amount of those moments. You're right. Luis Ariz has been fantastic. Okay. But it's the guys behind him that need to pick up the slack. And you have that with Jerkson Profar, who I think has maybe cooled off a bit a little.
He was 0 for 10 against the Yankees, but had a hit yesterday.
And then Jake Cronenworth has kind of cooled off a little-ish bit. But regardless, those two guys, you can't be negative with those two guys because they have done they've far exceeded expectations for what going into this year we thought they were going to do. It's the other guys that are just, I mean, they are not going to go anywhere this year until their stars step up. And you lost one for most of the season now in Xander. And the 2 other guys now have more pressure on them to be superstars. They're not 40-year-old guys. They're 30 and in their early 20s.
Yeah, Toddy's 25.
That should be considered prime. I'm going to put you guys on my back and carry this team. And they're looking like guys that are way out of their prime and guys that are towards the end of their careers than guys that are in their, starting their careers or in the middle of with Manny. And it's so frustrating at times to see these 2 players getting paid as much money as they are and knowing that they have it in them and knowing and seeing that they can do it with glimpses and flashes, and then they just kind of crumble most of the other times.
I mean, they're fortunate to be 29 and 28. If you watch the last 2 days, they were dead to rights against the Yankees before Gleyber Torres commits an error. They were in trouble yesterday before Tim Anderson committed 2 errors. So they're fortunate. Good teams take advantage. They took advantage the last couple of days, but they're fortunate right now to be 29 and 28. On the other side, this hour, your chance to see Janet Jackson and Nelly. On the other side, though, 70470. Start your message with team. Wrong answers only. What did I say at the wedding during the ceremony that made Aaron laugh? We'll share that with you next. Stay with us. It's Jon and Jim. All right, what did I say at the wedding ceremony on Saturday that made Aaron laugh? Plus, Mark Ziegler joins the show with more on Bill Walton's life and legacy at 5 p.m. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Padres and Marlins, game 2 of their 3-game series tonight. 6:40 first pitch. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Luis Arraez was named National League Player of the Week today. Moving over to the NBA, the Celtics punched their ticket to the NBA Finals as they finished off their sweep of the Pacers last night in Indiana. And tonight, the Mavericks are looking to do the exact same thing to complete their sweep of the Timberwolves. 30 tip-off time in Dallas. If they win, they'll move on to take on the Celtics in the NBA Finals. And yesterday, sad news as the legend Bill Walton passed away at the age of 71. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions do apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
We've got a really good giveaway as well. We have tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly June 6th. That's coming up about a week or so away at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. So be listening for that. And then Mark Ziegler wrote really a phenomenal piece on the life and times of Bill Walton. Will join us coming up at 5 p.m. So, okay, so what have people been saying on social media? You put something on social media about, hey, what did John say as officiant at the altar that had Aaron laughing?
So we got like the wedding sneak peek photos, which I didn't understand. I'm like, damn, that was quick. But
they give you a portion of the stuff, but not everything.
They give you a portion, and even the portion was like, okay, we're good. Like these are really, you saw them, like they're really good, and we're gonna get hundreds and hundreds of more photos, and we're also gonna get a video that our amazing videographer is gonna do for us, in like I think 2 or 3 months time. But anyway, one of the photos that was given to us as part of the sneak peek was all of us at the altar, and you said something. Aaron is busted up laughing, and I'm sitting there with a face of like, Yeah, that was a good one. Like, it just was a perfect, wrong answers only type of photo.
Right.
And so I put that on social media, and we had a bunch of responses, John.
Okay.
Let me just post this real quick here. Okay. So, wrong answers only. What did John say at the altar to make Aaron and everybody else laugh? From Ben Fadden. You sure about this?
Yeah, exactly.
Educated cheese. Smash the like button, everybody.
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yep.
Kyle says, my name is Cornholio. ITP for my bungholio. Drake said, relationship girl becomes wife. TDV says, is that good? Hector said, you turn him into an Eagles fan, and he didn't even put up a fight. Andrew said, well, Jim ruined the Bogarts press conference. Gustavo, Aaron, I do. John, source. Jim, I do too. John, big if true.
Yeah, exactly.
John JD Gaucho said, by the power invested in me and the great Ken Pomeroy and John Fanta.
I like that.
And that was a good one. This one's a great one. Font of Wisdom said, once again, I have to carry the show.
Yeah, I do like that.
Which is right.
Yep.
Darren said, we'd also like to recognize the Nationals fans. Congratulations to them. Although we only had Soto for a few months, they had CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore for a couple of years. Obviously, Douglas couldn't go without photoshopping my head.
Back of your head?
Back of my head into the photo. You see that?
That's amazing.
Back of my head.
I did see that. I love
ruining my own wedding, which is
Mhm.
nice. Let's see here. From
We did kind of recreate that photo
We
too.
did
with
Darnay,
Darnay.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we
Darnay put
did.
it out. Darnay put that out there. That was a big hit on social media. I saw.
Mhm.
Jose said, one thing is for sure, this contract will age better than Xander Bogaerts.
That's a great one. That's very
Yeah.
good.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know how to say his name, but at PR8566 says, you promised to spray Rogaine for better or for worse through any press conferences in sickness and in health. 3 sprays to the front, 3 to the back. From this day forward till death do us part. A. Flores says, I don't know if you know this, Aaron, but I once worked in minor league baseball.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I should have said that, by the way.
Yeah. Beef said, now we're both idiots. Let's see here. A couple other ones. You also put out there, are you sure? I think
Right.
you did that one. And then on Instagram, so I also put that out there as well. Let me just pull that up. Let's see here. Someone said, Darnay said, John got 2 big laughs. Callan said, I just got married. Is that good? Matt said, all right, Aaron, this is really your last chance. Let's see here. Aztec for Life said, Aaron said, I do. And John asked Jim, is that good? Frankie said, Aaron, do you take Jim, the biggest Eagles fan, to be your husband? Someone said, first time Jim was on time. Shocker.
True. Yeah, you were there.
And then SD Freshie said, so this is what you get when you have your own YouTube show. So a lot of great ones by people. But what you actually said was
right. First, a couple on the text line as well. 70470 started with team. 703 said, John said, here I am making sure things go well for Jim as usual. So there were a few in there as well on the text line. But so Jim does his vows. Okay.
By the way, you guys hit the over on the prop bet for crying. I cried.
We hit a lot
did.
of the overs.
I cried. I want to talk about that at 5:45. I cried so much during this wedding. The first look, I bawled like a baby. Walking down the aisle, I cried a lot. Our final last dance by ourselves, I cried a lot. It was a cry fest for me.
No, you absolutely did cry, and I made sure not to really look at you because I had to keep this thing together.
I didn't look at you
if
either,
Aaron's bawling or Jim was bawling or if this is too emotional, like I had to keep this like train on the track. So Aaron does. So the problem with batting last with vows,
it better be good.
It better be good because like you have a standard now to uphold, and Aaron's vows were very well put together.
Yeah.
So after I heard Aaron, I was actually very concerned for you because Aaron's were very well put together. And I'm like, this could get really ugly.
Yeah.
Like, what if Jim was just like, I like you and stuff?
Like, I like you and stuff.
And
You're
Bentley's
great.
cool. And I hope he's
Thanks for marrying me.
Yeah.
It's like Jim should have batted lead off.
But then all of a sudden, Jim starts using words I've never heard him use. Like
it was
and et and to.
It was an out of body.
It was like
experience.
he was literate.
I mean, what was the final words of his vows were? He just put this on social media this afternoon.
Yeah, so
Your final words were what?
My final words I should know this by heart. I will love you forever and ever. And even then, forever won't be long enough.
So at that point, like, this is serious. Like, Jim's trying to keep it together.
Everyone's
They've
crying.
just done
I'm like,
vows.
oh my
the
God.
bridesmaids are like, this is lovely.
They're bawling.
So I had to loosen up the room. So I said, thank you, ChatGPT. And at that point, everyone like lost it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was appropriate because now, first of all, obviously ChatGPT didn't do this. This was like a personal story from Jim to Aaron. But it's the first time I've ever heard Jim use real words and use emotion and feelings and like his heart. So I thought it worked. And, you know, I got a lot of compliments for that over the course of the next 4 hours.
I knew that a lot of people at this wedding, you guys included, everybody at the radio station, everybody, like, I knew that when I read my vows, you guys are going to be like, wait, even my best friends at the altar with me, we're going to be like, wait a second.
So I have to ask a serious question.
This is Jim?
So, okay, obviously you didn't use ChatGPT.
No.
But there is no chance in the history of the world that was created out of your brain on a piece of paper. So you absolutely had to Google really good vows, please.
Did you get help with it?
You had to Google something.
Like from your mom or?
I didn't.
No Googling?
Okay. The final line, I got inspiration from it because I was thinking to myself, I need to end this like with a bang.
No, that was good. It was a very good line.
I was like, everything else was originally mine. Nothing in it was copy and paste. The final line, I think it was, I saw somewhere someone said kind of something similar to it, where it was like, I love you forever, and something along that lines. I forget. It wasn't exactly what I wrote.
You changed it.
I changed it because I thought that was like going down the right path of what I wanted to convey. And so then I changed it to make it my own. But I did get like inspiration from, I think I saw on like a TikTok or something from somebody's vows that mentioned like forever and ever, or not forever and ever, but it's like forever will love you something and that won't be long enough.
Was Aaron amazed by your vows?
She was, yeah. She even said, she's like, honey, I did not know you had that in you. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. It was an out of body experience.
You prepared us. So you said, listen, these vows, you've never heard me say anything like this about anyone.
Yeah, no, that's what I was like.
True.
You are going to hear things that I don't normally talk about because it's usually the roast of Jim every single day. And these are going to be just like,
yeah, there's a lot of awes.
Yeah,
there were
a lot of awes, and I got brownie points. So there you go.
No doubt. All right. Who wants to see Janet Jackson and Nelly June 6th, which is what, like just over a week away? So June 6th, Thursday night, next Thursday, we have Janet Jackson and Nelly tickets. First two callers will be contestants for Trainwreck Radio. That's trivia. Here's the number to call, 877-767-4760. Really good giveaway. Janet Jackson, Nelly, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater next Thursday. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. You need to call right now, 877-767-4760. First two callers will be contestants for trivia. That's next. All right, Mark Ziegler from the Union Tribune will join us at 5 p.m. on the life and legacy of Bill Walton. Up next, Trainwreck Radio. All right, Mark Ziegler is going to join us coming up at 5 p.m. He wrote about Bill Walton today in the Union Tribune. Really phenomenal look at his life, of course, what he means to our community here in San Diego. So coming up at 5 p.m. We've got a really good giveaway this week that we're going to play for here right now on Trainwreck Radio. So let's get to it.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Matt and we have Mark. Matt, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Let's go with Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Jim
Mary
the Married Man. Let's go.
So that's Matt and Jim?
Matt and Jim and Mark and Jon. You there, Mark?
Yep.
All right, perfect. You get Jon as your partner. Brent, what is the question of the day?
All right, as we've been talking about today, Bill Walton passed away. Was it Sunday or yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday. Bill Walton is 39th in NBA history with 10.5 rebounds per game. Today's question, can you name any of the top 10 players in NBA history for rebounds per game? So we're looking for the top 10 rebounds per game in NBA history.
Okay. Mark, you are up first. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Let's see. Maybe Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Good guess.
Yep.
On the list. Matt, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Okay, how about Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille O'Neal, top 10 all-time in rebounding, Brent?
Shaquille O'Neal.
No. I was going to say more of a scorer than a rebounder.
We still average, I think, around 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Okay, so
where is he
1-0 Mark.
List?
He's not in the top 25.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, there's a lot of people with like 10.4,
Oh,
10.4.
he's 29th.
Yeah.
All right.
How many a
30.
game? Over 10?
10.8.
Yeah. Oh, 10.8.
That's a big number.
That's a big number. Yeah. So who are up? Mark's up next. What's your second guess, Mark? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Let's go Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
Good
That
guess.
will be on the list.
Yeah.
Is he number 1 or is Wilt number 1?
Wilt was number 1. Russell's 2.
Wow.
All right, Matt, you need this to stay in the game here. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Okay, I have one, but I'll go and use the lifeline.
Lifeline?
Jim.
Yeah.
I'll use
Steph.
No. I'll go Moses Malone.
Moses Malone. Do you take that, Matt?
Yes.
I'll say he's not on the list. No, he's not on the list. Yeah. Very good rebounder, but top 10, dude. Come on. Is he reminds you of Wilt?
It was between him and Dennis Rodman.
Look what you did. You ruined the whole week.
Dennis Rodman would have been
Matt.
correct.
Dennis Rodman's on the list. All right. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Good job.
Where was Moses
Good job,
Malone?
Jim.
I mean, he's a 10 per game guy.
He was 15th.
So not
Yeah,
bad.
that's good.
Well, a little over 12.
Okay.
12 per game. Wow.
I mean, he's still. Jeez, come on.
If
man.
you ever watched, what did you do this weekend? You didn't watch
got
the Eastern
married.
Conference Finals?
I got married. I'm sorry.
Everyone's talking about rebounding leaders. I'm just kidding. All right, who's on this list? Wilt, Rodman,
Okay,
Bill Russell.
So Wilt and Russell are the first 2, and I'm going to tell you their average. And just remember, at the time, they were like the only 7-foot guys that were in the league.
What are their career averages?
Wilt was 22.89.
What?
And Russell was 22.45.
Is that
Wow.
good?
So they both averaged 22 rebounds a game
For their entire
for their
careers?
entire career.
Wow. Okay.
not
And
bad.
then third was Bob Pettit. He
Mhm.
averaged a little over 16 boards a game. Jerry Lucas, which is kind of surprising because he was a guard. He has a little over 15. Nate Thurman, Wes Unseld, Walt Bellamy, Dave Collins, Elgin Baylor, and the answer Jim should have went with Dennis Rodman was 10.
That's kind of a tricky question because there's really no modern day rebounder other than Rodman, and he's been playing for the last decade. So, like,
The next closest one was Andre Drummond is 14th.
oh, he was a great defensive player, wasn't he?
Andre Drummond?
He was so
Yeah.
good defensively, wasn't he? Or I'm thinking of Ben Wallace.
Yeah, Ben
I'm thinking of
Wallace.
Ben Wallace. I'm
Andre
thinking of Ben
Drummond's.
Wallace.
I don't know about
Dwight
that one.
Howard.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard was 19th.
Okay.
Gobert was 20th. So a lot of the more current players are towards the end.
Do you think
Embiid
anyone's ever
is
going to top
25th.
Russell and Chamberlain?
Let me answer that for you real quick.
No.
Unless the league height average goes back to like 5'10".
Right. Or maybe a 10-footer joins the league, like Victor Wembanyama 2.0.
Right.
Well, congratulations to
They'll clone Yao Ming
Mark.
and Wembanyama.
That's right. Mark has won a pair of tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly. This will be at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater June 6th. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. If you didn't win today, we have more opportunities, I believe. Is that right, Brent? More opportunities this
all
week
week.
to win tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly. Really cool show next Thursday night. All right, Mark Ziegler has written about him. Bill Walton passing away, sadly, yesterday at the age of 71 after a battle with cancer. Mark Ziegler with more perspective on the life of Bill Walton on the other side. That'll kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim, and we'll have it for you next. All right, so imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free, no credit cards, no car loan, no personal loans. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer, and Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly with Loan Pronto's AI-based system, and you can get approval in about 10 minutes. Almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home, and you can use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, get some money for home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is minutes away. Here's the number to call. You can call right now, 619-207-4336. Again, 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Again, the number, 619-207-4336, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
This update is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Padres, Marlins, game 2 of their 3-game series. 6:40 first pitch at Petco Park. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Luis Arraez was the player of the week in the National League this week. Moving over to NBA action tonight, 5:30 tip-off, game 4 between the Mavericks and the Timberwolves. Mavericks are looking to close out the Timberwolves and complete their sweep to move on to the NBA Finals, where they will face the Boston Celtics, as the Boston Celtics completed their sweep of the Indiana Pacers last night in Indiana. And the legend, the great Bill Walton, passed away yesterday at the age of 71. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions do apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. We are with you until 6 p.m. here tonight. We are reacting again to the sad news that was reported yesterday about the passing of Bill Walton at the age of 71. There's a wonderful piece that Mark Ziegler, who's with us right now, co-wrote. Mark, before I start, is this the UT? Is this the obituary? I'm terrible at that. Is this the obituary? What was written here in the UT yesterday or today?
That's the main obituary, but we had so much stuff.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the guy lived in just absolutely incredible life.
Incredible.
And, I mean, you know, as much as we wrote, I'm not sure we even scratched the surface on what he did in 71 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you wrote beautifully. I really do. And even like the headline, it's like, how will Bill Walton be most remembered, if that even matters? But you think about someone that, you know, I think a lot of people remember, obviously, his playing days. And then a lot of people look at him as a broadcaster, locally, what he meant to San Diego, his philanthropic, desires as well throughout the city of San Diego and beyond. Like, how will you remember Bill Walton?
Well, I think, you know, I'll remember him a lot of the same way that a lot of people in San Diego will, which is a lot different than the rest of the country. And, you know, we have our lens that we look through. And you know, one thing I kind of caught myself doing when I was watching some of the national telecasts and Sports Center and other places talking about him is that he meant a lot different, many different things to San Diego than he did nationally. Nationally, he was a great basketball player. He was, as you said, an announcer, kind of a quirky, eccentric announcer. And that's, you know, they knew him for some of his protests, his political stances. But in San Diego, we knew him as Steve Fisher said so eloquently, as Mr. San Diego. I mean, he was the face of the city in many respects. Everywhere you went, you saw him. He was very accessible celebrity. It wasn't like, oh, you knew about him and you heard about him. I mean, he was everywhere. I mean, I a friend of mine sent me pictures of his wife because she was on bike rides with him. They were at a bike club and multiple pictures with him, and said, you know, it wasn't just that she took pictures with him. He always had time for a chat. And that's just who he was. And so for us and for me and for everyone else in San Diego, that's how I think we'll remember him, which is very different than the rest of the world.
For him, you know, he had two different careers, his basketball career and then his broadcasting career. Do you consider him it's hard to say this because his basketball career was so amazing, but I feel like, you know, this generation might remember him more for his broadcasting than his basketball. But for you, how would you compare the two?
Well, you know, it's funny when Steve Fisher talked about how they used to take recruits to his house as part of the recruiting visit. You know, Friday would do campus tour, Saturday morning breakfast, Saturday, you know, late morning, Walton's house. And, you know, the kids would go in there and see this quirky announcer that they'd seen on TV. The parents would go in there and see the 6'11" center who led, you know, the Portland Trail Blazers to their only NBA championship, and, you know, who won, was part of the 88 game win streak for UCLA. You know, who was 21-22 in an NCAA final. You know, who in high school shot 78% from the floor. That's what I think the parents would remember him as, and so it really depends on when you were born. People who were born in the 2000s, I mean, they have no idea. I mean, he'd been retired for 15 years. And so there's, by the time a kid gets to be 15, 16, 17, and it's, 2010 or 2015, I mean, they have absolutely no concept of who he was, except for maybe some grainy footage and heard his name. But for the parents, I really think, and our generation, I mean, we know him as the player, I think.
Mark Ziegler from the Union Tribune with us right now, talking about Bill Walton's legacy in San Diego and beyond. I know you just touched on it and you wrote about it as well. For our listeners that maybe aren't fully aware, I wasn't fully aware of this. You wrote about it. Can you explain a little further about how Bill Walton helped Steve Fisher, Brian Dutcher, and others put San Diego State on the map? I know Chris obviously played for him, was part of that initial recruiting class, but what additional roles did Bill Walton play, like you said, recruiting visits, to help with San Diego State basketball the last 25 years?
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was always a fan of the program, but when I talked to Steve Fisher, he said, people don't understand how big of a deal that was for us, because remember, he came in 1999, 2000. That was their first season. They were absolutely terrible. They didn't have a chance to really have a full recruiting class. So they start to go out to recruit people, and Chris Walton is in town, and they like him, and he really wants to come, and they get him, and so that's great. And so his dad's going to be coming to games. But he became much more than that. He became, because he was on TV, he was, a national figure, and he started talking about San Diego State basketball at a time when nobody did, and particularly nobody with any kind of national prominence did. And then the recruiting visits were over there. He helped land some kids. And then beyond that, I mean, last year he was at the Final Four, and he was off at a corner, remember, and just holding court about San Diego State, the program, but also about San Diego State, the city, and how much he loved it, and whatever other topic came to his mind as well. But he, I mean, and this wasn't just a 4-year thing while Chris was there. I mean, this went on for 20, 25 years now, and every program, when you for those of us who know what this program looked like in the late 1990s, and obviously everyone knows what it looks like now, and it's still almost inconceivable to imagine that it got from that point to this point. One of the reasons it did is Bill Walton.
Yeah, Bill Walton will always be one of those people that is an advocate, or was an advocate, for San Diego and San Diego sports, and San Diego State especially. For you, Mark, I feel like everybody in media in this town has at least one Bill Walton story, because he is just the type of guy that, you have a story about Bill Walton. Do you have a story about Bill Walton that comes to the top of your mind when you think about him?
Well, one of my, actually, I called Rick Schloss yesterday, who is a long time PR guy in town, sports PR guy. Everybody knows who he is. And I asked him for stories of Bill, because he's been here forever. He was born here. He grew up here. He knows, he's a contemporary. He's worked with Bill. So he just started telling me one after another. And he was telling me about how, he'd take him on these media tours. And one of them, I think, was Nuvasiv, which had done the surgery on his back, one of the many surgeries on his back. And so, he was trying to help promote them, and he was start up, and that was how he helped them. And so he'd take him these things, and he'd be going off a tangent, and Rick would be sitting there going, you just have to mention Nuvasiv once. Just mention it. That's why you're here. Yeah. And Bill would be talking about whatever he was talking about. And that was so many of the times when I'd talk to him as well. And, I'd have a question or a topic that I want him to address. And he might start there, but he never ended there, and he never really talked about it. And it was really frustrating, but it was also just absolutely hilarious. And I can just see, I know Rick so well, and I can just see him sitting there in the back off camera, just like head in hands going, come on, Bill, please, just one mention. And he's talking about the Galaxy or the Grateful Dead or Pears or Rivers or, something, the San Diego Sunshine or bicycling, and nothing about what he's supposed to be talking about. But that was the beauty of Bill Walton.
Yeah, Bill Walton, time limit, and staying on track are things that aren't good. They don't go together.
Mark Ziegler's with us right now from the UT on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. You know what I found somewhat amazing, Mark, in today's day and age where everything is polarizing? The outpouring has been remarkable. Now, again, it comes after his passing, which you'll see, but I think you and I know that he wasn't universally beloved as a broadcaster. I think you had a lot of people that absolutely loved his style, and you had other people, you just go to social media like anyone or anything, and there were detractors. But it seems like that was none of the story at all in the last 24 or 48 hours. The outpouring has been remarkable. Have you seen that in the same light?
Yeah, and even beyond that, if you look at some of his political stances, particularly when he, I had a line in there when he had a statement after he'd been arrested for anti-Vietnam protests, and his statement was, your generation screwed up the world. Now we're going to try to straighten it out. And he took some pretty radical stances, and he was tied to the Symbionese Liberation Army at the time. Patty Hearst was kidnapped, and it was a very, very controversial thing with the Portland Trailblazers. In fact, the ESPN documentary about him, Luckiest Guy in the World, addresses that, talks about that, and how just fuming the management was there. But what was interesting to me is that, as polarizing a world that we live in, I didn't hear once from anybody, and I don't think anybody viewed him as, oh, look at that liberal, look at that hippie. I mean, people on both sides of the aisle sort of universally respected him. They might not have agreed with what he said, but he was one of those very few personalities that you just couldn't get mad at him. You could just say, well, that's Bill, and I respect him for his opinion, and maybe he's a little bit out there on some stuff, but he's just lovable and he's ours. And so I thought that was really cool. I'm glad you brought that up, because I just thought that was so cool about yesterday. And I mean, generally when somebody passes away, you're not going to rip the guy if you didn't like him, but still, even for his political stances in this day and age, people would, and I didn't hear that at all. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's a huge accomplishment that not many people can say that they have done.
Completely agree with you. Mark, since we have you, I do want to segue to a couple of other topics, one of which is impacting the whole landscape of college athletics. And I don't know to what extent, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. The House settlement is significant for all walks of FBS and Division I, whether it's Power 4, Group of 5, and beyond. Have you begun to get a grasp here on what this could mean for a San Diego State, but even beyond that as well, just college athletics?
My first thought is that this is not something that's just going to, like a light switch, it's going to turn on or off and change everything overnight. It's so much to be negotiated, so much to be litigated. A judge has to accept it. There's Title IX. There's who's going to get which athletes are going to get paid. How is it going to work? Where's the money going to come from? And there's so many things. So I think this is something that's going to be talked about and sorted out for not weeks, not months, but probably a year or 2 or 3 before it really is implemented and we really see it happen. I know they want to try to get it, in 25, 26. I'm not sure they can get all this stuff done by then. And I still want to see the Title IX piece. I really don't know how that's going to work. And this is what college athletics has been. It's been simmering beneath the surface of college athletics for years. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to really address it. And they didn't address it in this is, as college sports moves to more of a pay for play model, and almost to a for-profit enterprise, which it always has been, just like it's never really been an amateur, they've never really been amateurs. Well, it's never really been a nonprofit enterprise. It's a for-profit enterprise. And for-profit enterprises generally are not subject to Title IX. That's why I always say this, why the Padres don't have a field hockey team. And so, how are they going to sort that out? I mean, how is that going to happen? And for San Diego State, no, it's not good. Certainly because if you're not in the Power 4 conference, one of the Power 4 conferences, and maybe even not in one of the Power 2, the SEC and the Big Ten, it's going to be really hard. Doesn't mean you can't, but it's going to be really, really hard because they're going to have the most money. They have the most money to pay players. And you're already seeing it in football, how many of the athletes go there, how few athletes from a Group of 5 school were drafted in the NFL draft, like it was one maybe, or in a certain number of rounds. And so it's not impossible, but it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. And you feel bad for a school like San Diego State, which is so close on the cusp of getting into that Power 4 and isn't. And it's too bad, and it's going to be tough sledding in the next few years, I think.
It'll be interesting to see how it all does transpire in, like you said, the months and years ahead. Finally, any update on Rutgers transfer Mawat Mag, who visited San Diego State? You wrote extensively about him. It's been quiet, though, for the last 7 or 10 days. Is there an update there?
No, I think he's still deciding. I know. There was a dead period last week. Coaches couldn't visit players, and players couldn't visit campuses. I believe he took a visit to USU last week, right before the dead period. But if he's going to take any more, he had to wait. And so I don't know if he's waiting to take another visit or he can't make up his mind. But my guess is nothing happened. And at a certain point, things did have to move on. Other players, I know they were looking at some other players at the time he visited. But you can't make offers to 3 and 4 guys and then just be waiting on one and watch other ones go elsewhere. So I think there'll probably be a breaking point if he can't make his mind up here, and they'll move on. But there's still sort of this happening. And there's really no pressing deadlines or anything. The next real deadline is they like to have players in the first week of July for the summer session. But that's a month and a week off.
Mark, always appreciated. Again, the topic, not ideal. Obviously, the passing of Bill Walton, but the writing was phenomenal today in the San Diego Union Tribune. We appreciate you joining us here on San Diego Sports 760, and we hope to do it again soon.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Mark Ziegler from the UT on Bill Walton, San Diego State, and more.
It's just the more you talk about Bill, it is very, very sad, but it is also like a reminder and a celebration of who he was and how important he was to a lot of people, how important he was to San Diego, how he just made everybody smile. Like it is a very sad, sad moment, but it is also, when you think back, you can't help. If you had a moment with Bill, there's always a laugh because of how crazy some of these stories are. Like, we had Bill at the Super Bowl and he was promoting such and such. And, we were trying to just get him to have the read and it just couldn't. We had a time limit and he was going off about trees and ducks and we couldn't get the read in. And then when we did ask him about the read, we just blew past the time. Right. And then we were supposed to be out by this time. And we went 5 minutes over because Bill Walton was there and we asked him one question.
I can't think of, and that's spot on. I can't think of another person, and correct me like if I'm wrong, someone that has had so many personal interactions with so many people, almost like he's a politician or the Dalai Lama or like the Pope, like you're traveling around meeting with people and that's like your job, but that's like who he was. He was like very prideful civically and also very generous. And he was just very active. And I guess because of that, very also like down to earth. Like you think a lot of times about people that have influence, wealth, power, success. Yeah. And oftentimes that closes people off. Like when I think about celebrity, that doesn't necessarily open people up to the rest of society. He's like the exact opposite. Big time celebrity in multiple facets, specifically here in San Diego, but well beyond this 7-footer that played professionally and won at UCLA, Jon Jim, was on TV for 20+ years. Yet he was a part of the community. Like that's easier said than done in today's age.
We had him on one time back when we were extra. And he goes,
the good old days.
The good old days. He goes, remind me again, the full station. Like, what is the full station name? A lot of stuff, it's hard to remember. I told him, and he goes on, he just starts gushing about how great
I remember that.
Yeah. It was just like, this is the greatest radio station in Southern California. I am so privileged to be talking on the airwaves with you, Darren Smith, on the great Extra Sports 1360, one of the most iconic sports stations in all of Southern California.
Which is kind of funny.
It was very funny because it really wasn't.
Which is very, very, very funny. Yeah. All right. So, again, if you have memories you want to share, our text line is open. So, our phone lines, by the way, 877-767-4760, or you can text us again, 70470, started with the word team. Again, 70470, started with the word team. So, Bill Walton sadly has passed away. We have NBA Western Conference Finals Game 4 tonight about to get underway between Dallas and Minnesota. The Mavericks trying to move on. Can I just make note of something before we talk Padres Marlins at 5:30?
Sure.
The NBA, for whatever reason, this has happened multiple times in the last 25 years, has a steadfast start to the NBA Finals. It's June 6th.
Yeah.
If this series ends tonight, that is 9 days.
Right.
Yesterday's game ended yesterday.
Yeah.
You like that? Which means
Wow.
Boston is going to have a 10-day layoff.
Mhm.
That can't be good for the NBA. Don't you lose momentum, even with a quote-unquote sexy series? And I think it would be. Dallas and Boston, aren't you losing something not to play for 10 days?
It's happened. It happened a couple of years ago.
Get used to it. That's the finals. There's a reason why they get stretched out past July, especially once the finals start. Game 1, June 6th, which is a Thursday. Game 2, Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's going to be at least 3 games or three days in between every game, so they can drag it out.
I don't think it's that big of an. It will be an issue for the teams, right? But I don't think like viewership wise, it was going to change.
Game 7 would be June 23rd.
Wow, jeez. I don't think it would change because I think the matchup, which let's be real here, it's going to be the Mavericks, right? It's going to be Mavericks versus Boston.
I don't know.
And if I'm wrong, then okay,
it's on you.
It's on me. Sorry, Dallas.
Right.
That's a damn good matchup with storylines galore.
Mm-hmm.
So, usually in the baseball, right? It's like, oh, you have a week off between games and you kind of lose the luster and blah, blah, blah. Like you want to have this thing keep rolling. I think basketball, you start this up, you're going to have the Kyrie angle. You're going to have the Porzingis angle. You're going to have Boston looking to get over that hump. You're going to have the Luka trying to win his first championship. Jason Tatum trying to win his first championship.
No, that I agree with, but hear me out. If this was a baseball conversation, we'd say have the Padres lost that momentum,
like maybe
lost
lose
that
like a couple games before you win it.
Like a 10-day layoff. This happened with the Colorado Rockies and they're swept. After that brilliant run through the National League, they had 10 days off or whatever. And then they got swept by the Boston Red Sox. Yeah. So I guess it's a little different in the NBA. It's like, oh, he's lost his shooting touch by not playing for the last 7 or 8 days. We would certainly have the conversation in baseball. Having a 9-day layoff in baseball we've already talked about it. Teams that win divisions and don't have to play in the wild card round have been rusty over the last couple of years. Look, I guess it's a different conversation.
They will, no doubt, both of these teams will be rusty for game 1, but that's pretty much the extent of the rustiness. Like that will end after game 1 because then they're going to get on a schedule and then they're going to be back into it. And that's how usually the finals are. Like when the Warriors, like they would be rusties in game. Like I remember when they faced the Cavs in the year that LeBron dropped the 50 something points in game 1 and they had the Warriors, that Warriors team had a long layoff. And I think the Cavs didn't. They were I think they won game 7. I think they may have beat Boston in game 7. I don't remember. And they came in and the Warriors had a long layoff and they were very rusty in game 1. They end up winning and then the rest is history. But like both of these teams, they'll be rusty, but I think it's just going to last no more than maybe 1 game, maybe just a half. First quarter will look kind of weird.
Sure.
But after that, it'd be fine.
Text line brought up a good point. We wait over a month to watch the college football championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, although that's a topic of conversation as well, but that is a fair point. It just seems like if you have 2 sweeps, you should have an alternate date to start it. If you have 2 sweeps, you should be able to move it up a couple of days. Maybe start the series on a Tuesday as opposed to the Thursday. All right, on the other side, the Padres have already made 1 trade with the Marlins. Will they make another between now and the trade deadline? Plus, we'll get you ready for tonight and why it is a challenge tonight, specifically for the Padres. We'll share that with you on the other side. Plus, Jim's back page with you until 6 on Jon and Jim. Are the Padres done making deals with the Miami Marlins? That's next.
This update's brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. Padres, Marlins, game 2 of their 3-game series tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Some awards being handed out today as Luis Ariz won the National League Player of the Week. And NBA action tonight. Mavericks looking to close out the Timberwolves in game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. 5:30, which is right now, tip-off time in Dallas. And yesterday, the sad news of the passing of the great Bill Walton at the age of 71. At San Diego International Airport, parking should be stress-free. If you're traveling soon, make a parking reservation in advance. With Terminal 2 parking plaza or curbside valet, it's as easy as 123 at san.org/parking.
Anytime, anywhere, whether you're stepping out of the car or settling in at home, just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760 or stream it live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows like this one. San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. So AJ Preller made a trade with the Marlins earlier this month.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well for the Marlins, right?
No, for the Padres.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
the Luis Ariz trade. I know you're a little foggy with the wedding. So remember before the trade, another name we heard tied to the Padres was tonight's starter for the Marlins. Yes, Jesus Luzardo, who is 26-year-old left-handed starter in his prime, under control through 2026. Happens to be coming off 2 brilliant outings, 6 innings, no runs against the Mets, 8 innings, 3 hits, no runs his last time out against Milwaukee. My question is this. Between now and the trade deadline, do the Padres try to go back to the Marlins? Do they need to address starting pitching, knowing everything that we know, or not? Is that even a topic of conversation, addressing starting pitching with what they have?
Is that their biggest concern right now?
That's what I'm asking.
I don't think it is.
So you don't think they need to go back to the Marlins for Luzardo?
Look, we all know pitching is what wins you championships, or at least, it's what you would choose. Like, I'd rather choose a top 5 starting pitching staff and have a middling offense than a top 5 offense and then like a middling pitching staff, just because of how important it is to have, close to elite starting pitching come postseason time, or at least to get to postseason time. I would love Jesus Luzardo on this team, but it doesn't solve the problem of them not scoring any runs at home.
But if he doesn't allow any runs,
and it doesn't solve the problem of Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado looking like complete shells of themselves this year. And it doesn't solve the problem of Xander Bogaerts not being on the field, having a broken shoulder.
But I would spin it the other way. I think, and I agree with everything you're saying. My spin would be, we spend so much time talking about the offense, but the truth is you could have a really good offense, but if your pitching staff is allowing more than 4 runs, you're hard-pressed to win anyway.
And it has happened a lot with this pitching staff. You're right. Like, it just, at times they look fantastic. Other times they don't. I know Yu Darvish had a blow-up on, was it Friday night?
Yeah, against the Yankees.
Against the Yankees.
But he had been great, obviously.
Who pitched Saturday for the Padres? Because I know, obviously didn't watch either.
Because that was the wedding night.
Was that Cease? No, it was Musgrove?
It was Cease.
Was it Cease?
Musgrove was Sunday, and he pitched really well. Really well. It was Cease.
Oh, it was Cease.
He allowed 4 runs, I think.
So he
fell behind 4-0.
I'm still fine with Dylan Cease.
Yeah, he's had a couple of setbacks here recently, but yes, I'm with you.
Musgrove has looked better of late. Yeah, really good on Sunday.
He has.
So basically, what you're saying is
Saturday.
Okay, so what you're saying is basically you're looking for another starting pitcher to replace like Matt Waldron.
No,
right?
I don't know. I mean, your point's valid. I mean, Jesus Luzardo, for example. I mean, I think the reason they like him is twofold. One reason is he's under control through 2026, and the other reason is I don't have it in front of me. I suspect he doesn't make a ton of money. He's making $5 million this year.
But it's, with that being said, even though Peter Bendix kind of looks like the guy that you would want to take advantage of in a baseball sense for trades, I think he's probably smart enough to know that a guy like Jesus Luzardo, with the money he's making, the control, lefty guy, you're going to be asking for top level talent back.
Maybe it depends, by the way, on how he pitches tonight. Well, it's like we'll see. I mean, again, the Padres have had this circumstance play out where they're facing a lot of left-handed starting pitching. Even against bad left-handed pitching, they haven't been good. I'm very fearful of good left-handed starting pitching like Luzardo, but to your point, maybe we'll see if a Machado can carry them on. Here's the thing. This whole left-handed starting pitching conversation is it doesn't make sense with right-handed position players. Somebody's got to perform to their career average.
So basically what you're saying is, since you can't beat them, might as well join them.
Maybe. We'll see.
If you can't beat the lefties, go and trade for the lefties.
Potentially.
That is down to last year, their problem was runners in the scoring position and 1-run games and extra innings.
Mm-hmm.
This year's team's problem is scoring runs at home and lefty starters.
Correct.
Facing lefty starters.
Mm-hmm.
You can trade for a lefty starter. That's great. It's not their biggest issue. Their biggest issue is this team offensively sucks at home, and wherever they play, they can't hit lefties.
Yeah, I would address not being able to hit left-handed pitching, right? Like you would think through your lineup as opposed to go to acquire a left-handed starting pitcher. That doesn't make any sense. But they have a lineup that should hit left-handed pitching. That's the frustrating part about it.
It's like Manny, Tatis,
Bogey should be able to hit left-handed pitching when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have guys that should hit left-handed pitching, but for whatever reason, they haven't. And maybe it's just 2 months and from here on out.
But you also have a couple guys in your line. I mean, Luis Torres can hit anybody.
Yep.
But he's still, you look at his career averages versus righties compared to lefties, it's still, 60, 70 points lower than what he is against righties?
Yes.
That's right. It's still the best on the team by far, which is, I think, around 270, 280. Mm-hmm. But when the core of your guys is Jackson Merrill, and, Jake Cronenworth, those guys are very, especially Jake, just very. I don't know the exact numbers on Merrill, but Jake especially very ineffective versus left-handed pitching. But that's not their. That's supposed to happen because they're left-handed hitters.
It's the righties,
the Tatis and the Manny and guys, what's going on here? It's put it into gear time. If those guys don't start performing, you can't say that about Bogaerts now because he's on the shelf. This team's going to be 500. It's simple.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I think that if someone asked me, "Hey, 29 and 28 before the year, would you take it?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I would." And there's a couple reasons as to why. They actually have played a tough schedule. They've taken advantage, though, of the hard part. They haven't necessarily taken advantage of the easy part. And again, I know the National League isn't the American League, and it's played out that way, where a team that's a game over 500 right now would be in playoff positioning. Not just that, look at the Cubs. The wheels have fallen off. You're a game like behind or a half game behind. I don't even know. You're right where the Cubs are.
Yep.
So like you're a game or a half game out of the second wild card. So you're right when you say, hey, if they don't get this, they might be a 500 team. But the other side of that equation is they might not have to be much better than a 500 team.
So okay, before the year, I tell you at this point, they're 29 and 28.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think Manny and Tatis were doing pretty well-ish. Like, it's just hard to believe
That they are 29,
they're
28.
29,
Yeah.
28 with
I
those
agree
two
with that.
guys struggling as much as they are.
Right.
Because I would think, well, maybe the pitching or maybe the others on the team, like the Cronenworth, Profars, Merrills, they're not doing well, and those are the guys that are kind of being the anchors and not the good way, weighing this team down
Mm-hmm.
when you have the superstars actually performing. But it's not. It's the complete opposite. Like, the guys that you thought might struggle this year, or you're kind of like, well, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, that's a lot of jerks in Profar and Jake Cronenworth.
They're actually the ones that are stepping up and doing, what you hope Manny and Toddy do. And until those guys do it, it's a very frustrating watch sometimes because they could be better. They could be a lot better.
I mean, they're going to your point, again, to reach the goals that they have. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to sweep a series. They haven't done that this year. I'd like to beat the Marlins in the home series. They have an opportunity to do that here today against Jesus Luzardo. But again, the crazy part of it all, keep going at this pace, game over, 2 over. I think you're fine. Because a year ago, they dug themselves a hole. They got 8, 10, 12 under.
Right.
So you say game over. And I think this is the time. These 19 games, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but even going 11 and 8, all of a sudden you look up and 3 games over 500. So let's see if they can do it.
I don't think today's going to make this stretch is a make or break stretch. It's a very important stretch for sure. I still go back to the start of August. If you don't play well in the stretch that you play the Rockies, the Pirates, the Rockies,
It's Oakland. No,
Miami,
I think maybe Miami.
those 4 series, Rockies, Marlins, Pirates, I think
It's the Pirates
again.
twice, the Rockies twice.
Yeah, that's the stretch. You get to around 500 there, 1 or 2 games over.
On the other side, for the first time in a week, we have Jim's backstage. That's next. All right, Jim's back page, including did any of his wedding day props hit? That's next. All right, John and Jim back with you. Final time here on this Tuesday. Jim is back. I think his last show was last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday.
You were lost. You were single. But you really weren't
I wasn't
single. You weren't really
single.
lost.
I just remember that show for me. I know the joke
Was
is
it a
coming.
train wreck?
For me, it felt like a train wreck show.
How does that differ from the other shows?
That was fun.
So you were gone for a week.
Yeah.
You had a wedding.
Yes.
Does it feel a little weird to be back after a week?
It does. I was a little worried because when you take a lot of time off and
I
you
know,
get
it's like,
back,
what
you're
are we
like,
talking
do I
about?
know how to do this? I feel like I've been okay. I feel like
Yeah, no better, no worse.
yeah, no better, no worse than I usually am. But
Okay.
it is like it's a weird feeling. I don't know
Yeah.
if you felt it
When
when
you
you
miss a
got
week.
married.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
No. Well,
being married.
when you miss a week, and not only do you miss a week, you kind of completely unplug because you
Mhm.
want to try to stay in the moment as much as possible. And also getting married, right? Like that is
You don't do it every day.
I'm not used to being the main person up at the alt. Like I'm not used to
You're
that.
not used to that.
I'm not used to being like the center of everybody, the attention for everybody. Like everyone's there to see you. We're at the sweetheart table. Everyone's there to see you. Everyone's coming up to you to take pictures of you and Aaron. And like we're getting catered to by the wedding. Like, do you need anything? Like it just felt it was a good weird. And then now with this ring on my finger, which I'm constantly fidgeting with, it feels like it's official. It's crazy.
It is official.
It's
Don't get
wild.
used to people like catering to every beck and call.
No, because that's
That's
the last wedding that we'll ever have.
Yeah, you and Aaron probably the last time you guys will
Not
both
probably
be married to each other.
100% will be the last wedding that we'll ever have.
So okay, are we gonna get to Jim's back page with the prop bets, or is that before that?
That is that's the back page of
All
today.
right, let's get to it.
All right, so you guys did these prop bets on Thursday last week when I called in, or like I guess right after I called in to the show as I was going to get my hair cut. We'll start off with sneezes over Or
Stop, sneeze. Achoo.
over or under 0.5 sneezes at the wedding. Brent took the over. John took the under. The under hit. I did not sneeze one time during the day.
I was amazed.
Amazing.
I didn't even sniffle. Besides when I was crying.
So did you have like an IV of Claritin going into your arm all morning, or did you take anything?
Well,
Nothing?
that's another
That's
prop
our
bet
prop
that you
bet.
guys had. Jim taking allergy medication. Both of you guys took the massive over. I think was 1.5 allergy pills.
No, we said 100.5.
Oh, you said 100
Allergy pills.
100 boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said the people at CVS are going to think you're making crystal meth.
Right.
I
It's a
didn't
lot of
take any.
Sudafed.
You took no
Wow.
allergy medication?
I forgot because I had my allergy pills in my bag and I forgot to bring them. And I didn't even realize it until like halfway through the ceremony. I'm like, oh, I didn't take any allergy medicine.
That is
today.
shocking to me. I think it was the right call, though, because I feel like I've seen you take medication before and it does nothing.
I have to take it before I start sneezing a lot. But
So why don't you just take it every morning?
that's a good point. It's a very good point. I think I can go with like maybe 1 or 2 sneezes, and if I take it, I'll be fine.
Okay.
So I didn't take any.
Okay.
So yeah, the under hit there.
Wow.
This one is easy. Crying. I think you said over crying 0.5
1.5 times.
1.5 times crying. Yeah, over hit there for sure.
How many times would you say you cry, like individually? How many different times?
Are we gonna say
A
just,
cry is one time. Like if you cry for
Yeah.
2 minutes, is one time.
Are we gonna say just the wedding?
Yes.
Okay, just the wedding. I cried 3 times. No, 4 times.
4 times at the wedding?
First look, her walking down the aisle. Well, I guess
Maybe some speeches.
her. Oh no, maybe more than that. Okay, let's see here. Let me go
You
over
cried
this.
5 times at the wedding. Soft.
First look, her walking down the aisle. Her vows, my vows. Every one of the speeches. That's 4.
You didn't cry during your vows.
I choked up.
Rookie
He
choked up.
stopped like 6 times.
Yeah,
I stopped myself from crying, but I consider choking up and like almost on the verge. Like
See, I would be bawling if I start choking up.
that's I stopped to try to stop myself because I
Right.
knew if I kept going, I would have
Been bawling.
stumbled over my words, which is the other prop bet you guys had. Stumble over in my vows 3.5 times. Both of you took the under. That hit. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you didn't stumble really. You just got choked up.
I got
right?
choked
Yeah.
up.
We both agree that you would put way more effort into this than your updates.
Yes.
So we thought that you would be fine.
I actually rehearsed my vows like
That's what I said. I said
Right.
he would do that. I said he's
Exactly.
probably been practicing.
like 10 times.
No, it
Like
makes
I
sense.
don't rehearse
I could
my
tell.
updates at all ever.
I could tell.
it shows.
It
Yeah.
paid off.
Let's see here. Another one you guys had, which we are very lucky. You said the temperature over under 64 degrees.
That's what we're thinking.
That thing hit the over.
I, think
I
it's
was
close
worried
to
about that
70.
in the morning.
Me too.
It was raining all morning
Dude,
in my
it
house
was
when I woke up.
cold on
Yeah.
the coast.
Oceanside, the morning,
California.
the
cold.
morning of the wedding on Oceanside.
Yeah.
It was perfect. And we were shocked.
Dude, it was beautiful. I bet it was close to 70 degrees at 4 p.m.
Yeah, it was crazy. John making more than 1.5 jokes at the altar.
Easy.
Both
I think I
at the
made
over.
3, 4.
Will Jim laugh at the altar?
I don't know if you did. You may have. I think I forced you into it. I think you were forced to.
It was a forced because
I
of the
said
jokes.
at one point,
yeah.
like I said something like, "Oh gosh," and I'm like, "Jim, to translate, it's kind of a big deal." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
I think the bet was about like, okay, would if I looked at you or
Oh, I wasn't looking
yeah,
at you.
nope, didn't look at
No.
me.
I didn't look when Aaron was getting walked
Yeah.
down the aisle by her dad. I'm like, I ain't watching this.
Oh my god,
I'm not watching
that.
this.
Got me good. That got me good. It's very
Those
smart to
are
not look at it.
birds.
And the final one from the text line: will Aaron show up? That hit. She showed up.
It was.
It was a risky.
It was
kind of
touch and go.
for a little
It was
bit.
touch and go, and she
but
did show up.
She showed up. So, yeah, the only thing that I think you guys really thought would definitely be the over, but maybe surprised, is the medication, the allergy medication.
You know, all things considered, like this could have been. We have a train wreck radio every single day. This thing
dude.
could have been a train wreck.
It could have been.
It could have been freezing.
Yeah,
I could have screwed up as the officiant.
Yeah.
Aaron could have fallen down.
I could have messed up.
You
or
could have
she,
dropped
like,
her when you did like a dip.
Yeah, some of the speeches could have been like awkward and
Exactly.
long. And
Something that you were a part of went perfectly right. That doesn't make any sense.
it's because of Aaron. All because of my wife. My wife.
Your wife.
My wife, Erin. All because of her. Without her, it would have been a train wreck.
Let's do it again.
No. I mean, I would like to relive those moments.
I
but,
know.
Not everything else like that.
No doubt. All right, here's the good news. We're back tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Yes, we are.
John and Mary Jim. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're also back tonight. The wrap-up show returns with the two of us to YouTube following Padres and Marlins. Find us by searching for If you missed anything today, sports60.com. We're back tomorrow at 3. See you tonight on YouTube. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760. Peace out, bye. Jim's married.